a thumbs up for us getting started. So, okay. All right, great. All right. All right, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Patricia Lock-Dawson, and I am the proud mayor of the city of Riverside, and also have the honor of serving as chair of the California Big City Mayors Coalition this year. We are a bipartisan group of mayors representing California's 13 largest cities and over 11 million residents. As mayors, we are committed to tackling the homelessness crisis head on, but we need the state's support. The Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, better known as HAP, has been a lifeline in our communities, and it's critical that additional rounds of funding for this program be included in the budget so we can continue to deliver the housing services and stability that our most vulnerable residents need. With 70% of the first 4 rounds of HAP dollars spent, the Big 13 have added more than 17,500 shelter beds, served over 150,000 individuals, and have nearly added 2,300 permanent supportive housing units. As a result, California has seen a much smaller increase in homelessness, just 3%, compared to the national increase of 18%. And we've seen a decrease in the chronically homeless population, and that's real progress. We've curbed the escalation of this crisis, but ongoing funding is needed to sustain the momentum. So let me be clear. HAP rounds 6 and 7 are not in the final budget. Those gains we've made, if they're not there, will be lost, and future progress will be brought to a halt. The over 4,600 housing units the Big 13 has in the pipeline could be delayed or lost entirely. We cannot stop now. These dollars have taken us far and can take us even further. With last year's Grants Pass decision providing us more tools to address encampments, the passage of Prop 36, expanding law enforcement's ability to respond, and the investment of Prop 1 dollars to build out behavioral health infrastructure, we are equipped now more than ever to maximize the funding to gain even greater ground and build lasting solutions to this crisis. That's why we're not asking for funding simply to remove people from the streets. We're asking for the ability to change lives, restoring stability for those who need it most. We've seen what's possible when that support is in place. In the city of Riverside, I'm proud to share that because of HAP dollars, we've reached functional zero for our youth population of homeless youth, meaning any unhoused individual aged 18 to 24 in our city can immediately access shelter and resources with no waiting lists. Because no young person should worry about where they'll sleep at night. They should be focused on school, work, and starting their lives. So it's not just about Riverside seeing results. All of our cities have stories of success because HAP works. You'll hear from the fellow mayors across the state here about how they've uniquely leveraged HAP to change lives and improve their communities. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague and friend, the mayor of San Diego, Todd Gloria.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everybody. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, and it's an honor to be here with my brother and sister mayors to talk about the importance of the HAP program. California's big cities are on the front lines of fighting our state's homelessness and housing affordability crisis. And with the assistance of state funding through our HAP program, California big city mayors are doing the heavy lifting on the ground to get people out of unsafe and unsanitary encampments and onto a path to permanent housing and a better future. Let me be crystal clear. HAP is making a positive impact. Yesterday, the San Diego Regional Task Force on Homelessness announced its annual point-in-time count data for my county. It showed a 14% reduction in homelessness in the city of San Diego. That's real progress that would not have been possible without the state's investments through the HAP program. HAP has been critical to my city's efforts to build up our comprehensive, multifaceted strategy to reduce homelessness, playing an instrumental role in helping us double the number of options people have to get off the streets and into care. Without HAP, this progress will be reversed. It's as simple as that. And that's why we're here today. As our federal partners are on retreat when it comes to housing and homelessness, we need our state to continue to lead to ensure that we keep doing the work of getting people off the streets and into housing. And I want to focus on how HAP has allowed us to expand one critical tool in America's finest city, and that is our safe parking program. Safe parking is a unique homelessness intervention in that it often serves a higher percentage of residents who are experiencing homelessness for the first time. Many of these participants have some form of income, either through benefits or through work, and they simply need a little bit of help to get on their feet. This program is a safety net. When someone's left to only live in their vehicle, it is a safe place where they can go and get connected to help. I want to tell you about one participant in our city's program. Keaton is a mother of two young boys who came to one of our 4, soon to be 5, safe parking lots in the city after staying on the streets and in and out of hotels. Program staff worked closely with Keaton to achieve her goals, which include securing stable employment, finding permanent housing, and going back to school. After settling into our safe parking program, Keaton said, and these are her words, that she could finally breathe. She said that she's a strong person, but the kind of journey that she and her children have been on was not an easy one. And so the safe parking program allowed her a recovery process to be expedited. And during her family's time in the program, volunteers from the surrounding community, folks who were once skeptical of this sheltering program in their neighborhood, actually provided food assistance directly to her and her children. They actually celebrated and planned parties, birthday parties for her 2 boys. That's the kind of integration that we're seeing where real progress is showing and communities are supporting these interventions. I'm pleased to report this morning that thanks to our HAP-funded safe parking lot, Keaton is now able to secure a new home where she's living stably today. Make no mistake, HAP is what is making stories like Keaton's possible. The HAP-funded programs are working. We're connecting thousands of people, not just in my city, but in all of our cities, to shelter and to long-term housing that ends people's homelessness for good. And so we have the know-how to make meaningful progress on homelessness, but what we need are the resources to scale our projects and our programs and to make a lasting impact to ensure that we have thousands of more stories in California like Keaton's. So I want to express my gratitude and the gratitude of our group on behalf of the Big City Mayors Coalition for the continued partnership of Governor Newsom and members of the legislature as we continue to tackle this enormous challenge and continue to deliver results to the people that we're honored to serve. Those comments are now pleased to turn the podium over to one of our newer members. I'm thrilled to have him here today, the Mayor of San Francisco, Daniel Lurie. Mayor.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. I'm Daniel Lurie, the Mayor of San Francisco. 7 mayors representing California's largest cities stand here today, united. I am proud to stand alongside my fellow mayors as we call on the state legislature to restore $1 billion in homelessness, housing, assistance, and prevention funding. This funding is used across the entire state. It matters to every single city and every resident of California. In San Francisco alone, it funds 1,000 shelter beds. Without it, we won't be able to help people like Patrick. By the time he was 21, Patrick had lost his parents and had nowhere to go. He was living in a tent and working multiple jobs just to scrape by. When COVID hit, Patrick lost his job for long stretches. But thanks to our outreach teams, we were able to connect him to shelter. When a new shelter opened, funded with HAP dollars, our team brought Patrick inside. We connected him to services, got him into a job training program, and put him on track to get a place of his own. Patrick is just one of the many success stories in San Francisco and across California. People who hit a rough patch or just needed a hand. The truth is, we must get people off the street and indoors. That's how we get them help. We know it works. We see it every single day in people moving off the street into mental health care delivered at the right time. in job placements, and in permanent housing. If we lose this funding now, we as a state would be turning our backs on real progress and real people like Patrick. This funding is essential. San Francisco's and cities across the state, represented up here, need to help people like Patrick. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the mayor of Sacramento, Kevin McCarty.
Thank you, Mayor Lurie. I'm pleased to be here, the mayor of Sacramento, our capital city, with 13 mayors across California, 7 here today, asking for the state to fund HAP. Of course, the quest is to ask the governor, but also we're talking to the legislature, the co-equal branch of government, to make sure that we fund this important issue. You know, I'm new to being mayor of Sacramento, but not new to this issue. I remember 5 years ago, it was a great stretch for the state to say, you know what, we need to help cities who are stepping up and fund homeless response programs. Decided to do a one-time appropriation of the budget, but then we realized cities need some consistency. We can't plan for the future unless we have ongoing funding. So the city of Sacramento, I know, which had zero money for homelessness 10 years ago, it was really a county issue, as we know. Cities have stepped up, and with some general fund, but mainly with their HAP support, have done a tremendous job. Here in the city of Sacramento, we funded 1,300 shelter beds throughout the city. We actually decreased our homeless count by 30%. So, but with that decrease, we're facing less money in the HAP program, which we're okay with. It's kind of odd though, like, good job getting people off the streets. We're going to give you less money. We're okay with that. We just want to make sure that we get money as a whole, because the one thing is crystal clear. Certainly people in the legislature are questioning the effectiveness of $20 billion over the last 5 years for homelessness. But one thing's clear, if you take that money away, there'll be more people on our streets. Crystal clear. So we hear the governor's call, who's asking us to be more accountable with our money. We're doing that. He's asking cities up and down California to enforce encampment rules to make sure we don't legalize urban camping in our cities, which we're all doing. We hear that quest, but it's crystal clear that without this HAP money, we will be going steps backwards. So we're calling on our legislative friends here from our cities and the governor to step up once again and fund the HAP program like they did last year and the years before, for the 5 years before. So it's not a complicated ask. We know it's a funny dance, but we think at the end of the day, when the budget is signed at the end of June, we will have the money for HAP. So with that, I'd like to now introduce Mayor of Long Beach, Mayor Richardson.
All right. Well, good morning, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Rex Richardson, the mayor of the city of Long Beach, and I'm proud to stand with California's mayors, the population centers of the state of California, in calling for the restoration of HAP funding in the state budget. It was 2 years ago when we saw the results of the pandemic. Our first homeless numbers post-pandemic showed a 62% increase in homelessness. In the city of Long Beach, we responded. We called on our partners, state, county, regional, local, to mobilize a local state of emergency. And it was last year that we saw our first reduction in homelessness in nearly a decade in the city of Long Beach. This was only possible because the state was able to answer the call, because our region came together to work together to effectively expand our capacity to deal with homelessness. We are a city who believes in housing. We believe in public health. We're one of only 3 cities in the state of California that's a public health jurisdiction, and we're doing the things we need to do. We are taking a balanced approach where we believe in casework and services and housing and enforcement and accountability, all of those things. And we're building housing. 2 years consecutively, record-breaking housing starts, and a California pro-housing jurisdiction. We have leveraged HAP funding to support our rapid rehousing program, employment services to put individuals on a path toward self-sufficiency, innovative outreach models, including 2 mobile access centers where we bring the services out to the encampments. We bring them to the streets where otherwise those services would not have been available, and have connected hundreds of people to services, meeting them where they are. The city of Long Beach is dedicated to using HAP funding to continue to build out the infrastructure that we need to continue building out, addressing homelessness through bridge housing and emergency shelter supports. Over the last 2 years, we enrolled nearly 4,000 people experiencing homelessness into interim housing programs, with more than 1,600 individuals in permanent housing programs. We've also expanded our shelter capacity over the last 4 years to more than 1,000, with 250 additional emergency shelter and interim units, including safe parking sites for people living in their vehicles. In Long Beach, we know how to use the HAP dollars to make a significant impact on the lives of the people in our community who are experiencing housing security. And with the support of HAP, we're opening our city's first ever youth navigation center and shelter with on-site beds and supportive services just next month. This new center represents the start of Long Beach's commitment to ending youth homelessness in our city within the next 5 years. HAP dollars are helping to ensure that every young person in our city has the opportunity to grow and to thrive and in a safe and a healthy environment. This is a testament to our commitment to working with our state, leveraging support, programs like Home Key and programs like HAP and encampment resolutions together will help us have the capacity needed to help individuals permanently exit homelessness and prevent them from falling back into it. So despite circumstances, state budget circumstances, right now is not the time to turn back, to take our pedal off of the proverbial accelerator and turn our back on our homeless response. Thousands of vulnerable residents, including families and seniors who are struggling to keep a roof over their head with skyrocketing costs of living and wages not keeping up. We ask you not to give up and turn back on our cities who are on the front line. As a state, we have to continue investing in solutions to meet the crisis with the urgency it deserves. And cities like Long Beach and all of our big cities stand ready to champion upstream solutions that will meaningfully reduce homelessness across California and keep all of our communities housed and safe. We need to protect our progress in the state of California. Next, I want to introduce Mayor Go from the city of Bakersfield.
Team effort. It's a team effort to put the booster chair up there. Homelessness remains California's #1 issues. These mayors across our state have underscored its gravity. Our residents trumpet this crisis daily, and the streets of California cry out with the pain of thousands. HAP dollars are changing the futures of California's most vulnerable. Big cities are connecting our homeless to shelter, to care every day. You've heard from Mayor Locke Dawson that with HAP dollars, more than 152,000 persons who are perishing on California streets have found refuge through shelter, through housing, and through services. In Bakersfield, we've more than tripled our shelter beds. With HAP funding, Bakersfield's partnership with a Center for Foster Youth has taken hundreds of forgotten youth off our streets. Through intensive case management, 79% of these homeless youth have found permanent housing. They've developed skills for success in life. These numbers that my colleagues have shared, they're much more than mere statistics. They represent changed lives, lives with hope made possible through our investments. HAP funding has transformed the lives of Victoria and her children from hopelessness to homeless. Hopelessness, homelessness to a future. Victoria entered a HAP shelter. Within 3 months, she had gained employment and full custody of her children. Today, Victoria is employed. She's employed as a nutritionist in one of our high school districts, and she has keys to a very spacious apartment. HAP funding has changed the future of Victoria and her children. With HAP funding, Keaton can finally breathe. Patrick has found a new future. But we have too many Victorias, we have too many Keatons, we have too many Patricks still on our streets. And together as cities, we hold ourselves accountable for this scourge on our Golden State. Unfortunately, the enormity, the urgency of this crisis far exceeds our capacity and the allocated HAP funding. The scope, the scale of our mental health, our substance abuse, our housing crisis has demanded that cities take unprecedented action. Big cities are literally investing our own general fund dollars. In Bakersfield, 64% of our homeless dollars are supported by local dollars. We're so grateful for the HAP funding that we've received, but we need more to continue this work. Despite the unrelenting efforts of cities, and you can hear from my colleagues, we have been unrelenting. Much work still remains to be done. Sadly, more people enter homelessness than cities have the capacity to serve. To end homelessness, we must stop the inflow. Lean budget years require very difficult decisions. Addressing homelessness, our state's #1 issue, must be a priority. The human suffering of this crisis calls for stable investments. We call on our state to continue providing flexible, direct investments through HAP to uplift our languishing brothers and sisters and to end California's paramount crisis. And now, from the beautiful city of Irvine, Mayor Larry Abram. And he won't need the booster.
Well, I'll use it
Oh,
anyway.
he'll use the booster.
I
all
always
right.
wanted to be 6 feet tall. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Locke Dawson, my mayoral colleagues here. Thank you for all of your leadership. I'm hoping that with Irvine now making it into the Big 13, even though we're the smallest in population, I like to think that our experience and our dedication to dealing with homelessness will be of benefit to everybody, to this group, to the entire state. Irvine's a relatively new city. We have grown up with the participation of the Irvine Company, the major landowner, major owner of apartment buildings as well in the city. We've managed over a period of 50 years to put in place 5,100 permanently affordable housing units, principally apartments that are available to people who otherwise would be facing homelessness. It's been a huge effort over those many years, but now we really need to double that number. We really need to double that number, and we need to do that in the next 5 years. We recently adopted a program that I refer to as instant affordability. It is to make, on an emergency basis, sustained affordable housing available to people. How? By taking the existing apartment units owned principally by the Irvine Company, enter into a deal with them that we will move people into those existing units on an urgent basis so as to overcome aspects of the homelessness problem in Irvine. And we prioritize that. How? We have 88 school children in the Irvine Unified School District, 88 school children who've been identified as from homeless households. That's outrageous. So with this deal that we've entered into with the Irvine Company, those school children and their family, their household, will be immediately moved into an existing available Irvine Company apartment and will be on a track then for immediate housing assistance and then to move on to our permanent housing assistance program and ultimately out of the program, making room for others as their household income grows and they're back on their feet. It's my declaration in our city that we should, by the end of this year, be able to declare that there is absolutely no school child who is from a homeless circumstance in the city of Irvine. We can do that. Obviously, we need HAP funds. We need a really powerful local effort, but we can't do it ourselves. We need help from the state. We need, as you've heard here, determined leaders to get this done. And frankly, I'm a little surprised I have to even be standing here. When you think about the California budget, how large it is, how wealthy we are in this state in the aggregate, that we have to now fight for restoration of housing funds. This is crazy. A budget reflects the values, the moral values, as well as the financial values of a community. And without the continuing housing assistance from the state, without that, we won't be able to sustain the progress that we've made and even expand it, which we're all dedicated to doing. So here I am in Sacramento. I used to work here as a young staffer many, many years ago. Place hasn't changed much. The budgets are bigger. The problems seem to be bigger in many respects. But I'm happy to be back here with my colleagues saying, let's get the money restored and let's get the job done. With that, I want to turn to Mayor Locke Dawson. And again, thank you for your leadership, Mayor.
Thanks. Thank you. Wow. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to stand here with these mayors. You've heard today, HAP's making a real difference, helping cities move people from streets into shelter to transform lives and create lasting stability. And I'll add to that hope. We welcome the governor's continued push for accountability because we've shown what's possible. You heard that today. We've shown what's possible when the state invests in local, innovative solutions. We all know what's best for our communities. That's why we're proud to release our Big City Mayor's Accountability Update, which I have, which highlights the tangible impact our cities have achieved through HAP funding. We all share the same goal: to end homelessness with urgency and compassion. The governor's recent release of a model ordinance to address encampments is a step in that direction and a call to action for every city. But good policy requires sustained support. And without continued HAP, our cities will not have the tools or infrastructure needed to turn that shared vision into a reality. We're ready to do the work. And we're asking the governor and the legislature, please extend this funding. Extend the funding for HAP rounds 6 and 7 so we can maintain momentum and continue making meaningful progress. You know, you don't take your foot off the gas when you see your goal in sight because you're afraid you're going to run out of gas or you don't have the money to fill the tank. You keep it going. You keep momentum going. And that's what we're doing here today. So I want to thank everyone for being here, my fellow mayors and everybody here that's here to listen. I'm happy to answer any questions, but also any mayor can answer any questions that anybody might have. So we're happy to take questions. Yes.
I'm Nicole from have any of you spoken to the governor about this and said anything about it? And you briefly mentioned it, but are any of you in a position to continue programs that you have implemented because of HAP, if there's no other.
Thanks for that question. We have met with the governor. This group has met with this governor to talk about this specifically. And we're, I think, meeting with his offices again today. So we met back in February or January to discuss the issue. And I can speak for Riverside. We won't let anybody hang there. We will use our private investment to ensure that we continue the programs, but that's where it'll stop, right? Anything additional, anything beyond that, we won't be able to take on. And I don't know if any of my other mayors wish to address it.
Yeah, I'm a little sleepy today because we were up till midnight adopting our budget last night. And we adopted a placeholder, assuming we would get our HAP dollars. Our HAP dollars fund about half of our homeless programs. So without HAP, we would shut down our shelter facilities, which we could walk to here in 10 minutes. So those people literally would be on K Street around here, sleeping on our street. So it does have a dire consequence. It would have major impacts throughout cities throughout California.
Right. And then can you just, any insight from the previous conversation with the governor? That you can share?
Well, I know he has, he wants accountability, and we say bring it. We all say bring it because we all want it to be accountable. He has indicated that he does not wish, as you know, he didn't keep it in his budget this year. So that's why we're here today, right? And why we're here working with the legislature as well, as Mayor McCarty mentioned. It's not just the governor, it's the legislature too. So we're working with that. And I don't know if any of the other mayors want to give any insights into that. Mayor Richardson might have a comment.
So to be clear, we've really been partners with the governor these past few years. It was the big city mayors who worked to help propose Proposition 1. We saw there was a need for more permanent supportive housing, mental health, residential housing. So that was a new tool. We've partnered with the governor on HAP. I think from our sentiment, the governor has seen the benefit of this program. There's been a lot of talk about accountability. Many of our cities have implemented new tools since the grants pass decision has come out. And we are seeing that if you have smart prosecution, diversion, you may be able to compel folks into more services. So it takes time to really see that. I think we're going to need the legislature to put some skin in the game here. That's what it's going to take for us to get this across the finish line. We hadn't heard a no from the governor, but there needs to be some conference, some discussion about making this a priority for our state. I think our job today is to demonstrate that we are showing results across the board in all of our cities, and that this is flexible funding. Many of the dollars that we have on homelessness have a lot of strings, and we're in an uncertain environment where we don't necessarily know what we can count on from the federal government. So this is a time that we need stability from the state to maintain our focus on this priority.
Thanks, Rex. Sure. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? No? Okay. Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm Ashley Zavala with Conservative Group. I have a couple questions because the governor last week, for your understanding, gave a pretty impassioned speech reacting to the county association that had released a statement about the lack of HAP funding and also the lack of Prop 36 funding. This is a two-part question. So first, I mean, in the governor's impassioned speech, he lamented that when he was mayor of San Francisco, he got not a dime from the state, and how he's not going to continue funding failure. And I know you have your accountability and showing how you as a smaller group of mayors have acted, but in the broad scheme of how Californians feel, which I think is what the governor was maybe speaking to, how would you respond to basically what you had to say last week?
Well, a couple things I would say. He invoked the county relationship as well. I think that was a big part of it. And as you know, we all have different relationships with our counties, and heck, even one of our cities is a county into it itself. So we have very different relationships with that. And each county we have different roles, right? So city generally provides the shelter beds. That's how it's shaken out. The county provides the services. So I think the intent of this group, and it has been and still will be, is to work as well and better with our counties as we can to make sure we're making a difference in that. So I think that's a big part. And this is not new that the governor has said this. I know you know that. He's said this the past couple of years. He's felt frustrated. I think we felt frustrated too. But being frustrated doesn't solve the problem. Being frustrated doesn't put people into shelter. It doesn't provide services. being frustrated can drive you to do the work, which is what I think this group has felt. And so anybody else want to add anything? I don't know, but okay. Mayor Gloria.
Ashley, thanks for the question. And the governor's been a wonderful partner for mayors, creating this funding, sustaining it through often the legislative process, and gratitude to our legislative leaders who've been willing to put this in the budget, support it, champion, get the votes for it, and sign it into law. You know, like Mayor Lockdawson, I think we share the governor's frustration. We're held directly accountable on a daily basis by our constituents in the grocery store, at the dry cleaner, at the car wash, about what they see in their community. What I would say with respect is the worst encampments in my city are on Caltrans right-of-way, on state-operated properties that we are not by law allowed to enter. So my police officers, my homeless outreach workers cannot go onto those freeway on-ramps along the 5 freeway through downtown San Diego, where we have a huge concentration of homeless individuals by law. Now, you may know I'm working with Senator Catherine Blakespear and with the support of this group to change that law, to give us the opportunity. I would simply say if Caltrans would do what the governor announced last week, the situation would be far better if they simply followed his own direction. And lastly, I would say with regard to accountability, a 14% reduction announced just yesterday, not my numbers, someone else's numbers who independently looked at this. But I would say that frustration is yielding results. And now is not the time to retreat. We've got to double down. We've got to continue forward. And to the extent that I share the governor's frustration at this point today, it would be for the jurisdictions that receive funding but aren't utilizing it. You may know that HAP funding doesn't just come to the 13 largest cities in California. It also goes to counties and to continuums of care. And you can look at the state's own dashboard to see who is committing and spending those dollars and who are not. With respect, the city of San Diego has committed and has spent almost every single nickel that is entrusted to us. And that's why I'm here today, because I need more of it to keep what I'm doing going. But I would say if there are folks who are unwilling or unable to spend that money, give it to the cities. Give it to us. We will put it to work. We will get more folks off or give it to Caltrans to do the work that we're doing to get these encampments off the freeway. So the frustration is real. You know, when this morning and flying up here this morning, someone grabbing me, talked to me about this issue. They don't care if the paper says a 14% reduction. They just want to see the encampment near their home or their business gone. We understand frustration, but we are held accountable daily. And we hope that the state will hold accountable the counties, the COCs, and other cities if they exist. We're not spending these monies to get this money spent. I think that's a greater frustration for the taxpayers who see these dollars flowing but aren't seeing the results. In my city, we're seeing results, and we would expect additional investment, not to have to fight for a continuing appropriation.
I think I'm going to have Mayor Lori please respond. Okay.
I share the governor's frustration. I have his former job. And I was frustrated this morning driving out of the city, and Mayor Gloria to talk about the on-ramps and the off-ramps. They're in really bad shape in San Francisco. I saw a tent on the street this morning. It's unacceptable. But I will say we are seeing success in San Francisco. Lowest number of tents in our city in years. The HAP funding is working. But I'm frustrated every single day. And so I share the frustration of the governor. But to take a step back is the wrong way to go. And here's where I completely understand where he's coming from. We have $1 billion budget deficit in San Francisco. There's a $12 billion budget deficit here in the state. We have to prioritize, and this is a top priority for the state. It's a top priority for me as mayor of San Francisco and for my colleagues up here.
Thanks. And Ashley, you had a second part to your question.
On the note of that impassioned speech and what he had to say last week, forgive me, I don't know how all of you voted or whether you are not you supported Prop 36, but as all of you know, voters overwhelmingly ended up supporting that kind of ballot initiative. And the governor up there basically said, you know, he's not really going to include the funding that I know folks have been screaming for with that measure. And so what he said, some mayors supported it, fund it. Some counties supported it, fund it. It's time for you to step up. How do you all respond to that?
Well, I personally supported Prop 36. I was one of the first and early on, and I know several of the mayors up here as well. And we are working with the state legislature. I will tell you that several legislators have introduced money to support. I think we've got one, as somebody's introduced, Umberg has introduced a $250 million, and can't remember who the other one is that's done 450 million. So they know it's a priority for the public. They know that we have to fund it. And I think every single one of us is working with our counties and our sheriffs and our police departments and our courts to ensure that the money that is available now is reprogrammed to ensure that we're achieving the goals of Prop 36. I mean, that's what I'm doing in the city of Riverside, is ensuring that the money that we do have is being spent correctly so that we can get what we need. In the city of Riverside, I will tell you, we lack jail space. That's our main issue. So I would put it back on the governor too, is I think we need more space for some folks. We also need more capacity for our courts. Those are two big things that I'm dealing with in my jurisdiction. Anybody else want to add on to that? No? Okay, thanks. Okay, yes?
Hi, sorry, I'll speak up. Laura Fitzgerald with Cap Radio here in Sacramento. I'm wondering if any of you would be willing to speak to some of the conversations that you've been having with your colleagues in the legislature about whether there's an appetite to restore this funding now that the budget is heading, kind of to the legislature for their final approval, and negotiations between the big three are happening.
Well, I don't know if anyone, I'll weigh in first, but we've heard from several legislators who wish to restore the funding, that are in very big support of it, that know that they can't let their foot off the gas now. And I think there's mixed reactions from the different houses as well, from the different parts of the legislature. But we are meeting with them today, actually, to have those discussions. And we'll be, I think, a little bit more clarity today on that issue as we meet with the various legislators who have the power and the authority to get that money back in the budget. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, I can speak as a recent assembly member who chaired a budget committee for 9 years up until 2 years ago. This is a process, as you know. It's the sausage making process isn't always a great thing to watch. But we're confident this will be in the budget. This has happened the last few years. It's kind of a dance. We met with a speaker and the pro tem and many lawmakers over the past few months. They all say this is a big priority. They all say this is what happens every year with the governor. It's kind of a back and forth. He has his priorities.